Happy New Year, everyone. We bring in 2020 by checking back in with my bold predictions for Tesla for 2019. This is Tesla Tidbits episode number 563, recorded for January 1st, 2020. This show is sponsored by my supporter Richard. If you're in the market for a new Tesla, please consider using his referral code. Ask your salesperson to use code Richard174 or go direct to the web link ts.la/Richard174 and pick up a 1,000 mile supercharging credit for your new vehicle. Yes, it's time to look back and see how well my predictions went for 2019, and it would appear that 2019 was very kind to my predictions. Some of my predictions, I thought at the time at least, were fairly out there, but now with the year over, most folks would say, well yeah, duh, of course that happened. Just remember that when I made these predictions, none of this was remotely obvious. Alright, let's get to it. My first bold prediction last year was that the $35,000 Model 3 would only be available for a limited time, and then the base price would become $40,000 for the car. I'm giving myself most of the credit for this prediction, 3/4 of a point, because while the $35,000 version of the car is not gone entirely, for anyone not following the company closely, it effectively is. After releasing the version to much fanfare and making it an option on the design studio, the company then removed it from the studio, making it an off-menu option only, and they did it only roughly 6 weeks after offering it for configuration. This left the new, at the time, Standard Range Plus version at the lowest trim level available to the general public, and that Standard Range Plus sits at a price of $39,900. Essentially, other than the standard range version still technically existing, I pretty well nailed that one. I think this is one that I'm most proud of because neither the standard range car nor the standard range plus version of the car existed at the time I made the prediction, and that was a very controversial prediction at the time. Huge pat on the back to myself on that one. Prediction number 2 was also related to Model 3 and concerned the metal roof version of the car. Originally, the base version of the car was supposed to come with a metal roof rather than the all-glass beauty we've come to know and love. And after saying that, of course, you know I got the full credit on this one, as nobody ever did actually see a metal roof version of the car. During a time when Tesla was trying to reduce complexity and they made no car with a metal roof anymore, this one wasn't as bold as some of my other predictions, but it was far from a no-brainer as well. Prediction number 3 was the last of my Model 3 predictions, and it was concerning the premium interior version of the car. This is another one where I get partial credit, just like the partial premium interior I'm about to describe. For those that may not have been around the Tesla scene as long, Model 3 originally was supposed to have 2 interior versions, a standard version and a premium version. That standard version was to leave out things like power seats, power folding mirrors, and more. The end result now is that ordering a car that isn't long range gets you the partial premium interior, whose only real difference is a lack of heated rear seats, HomeLink, improved maps, and premium audio. It's certainly not full premium, but it's a far cry from what we were going to get. Half point for me there. My last 2 predictions were on Model Y. I said at the time that they weren't going to make this one any more complex for themselves than they needed to, and now after seeing Model Y revealed to be basically a roided up version of Model 3, I couldn't have been more right. My prediction was specifically, quote, Model Y will totally crib Model 3's interior with the single center screen and no binnacle, seating 5 comfortably, and most notably not include Model X's Falcon Wing doors, end quote. Now, this was before Elon told us that they weren't going to put them on there, and that previously Elon had said they were going to be on there. Well, this is one where I'm totally tempted to take full credit for, but I can't because of that darn seating. Elon surprised us there with available seating for 7 in the Model Y, and so I can only take 3/4 credit for this one. Lastly, on Model Y, I had thoughts on range and price. I predicted 230 and 300 miles on the range options and a base cost of $52,000. Not far off on that base price, though totally wrong in that there's only one range available, though it varies between rear-wheel drive and dual motor. I did hit the range for rear-wheel drive on the button at 300 miles, and we've got 280 miles for the dual motor variants. Can't feel great on this one, quarter credit for hitting the rear-wheel drive range, and nothing else for that. But wait, we had a bonus prediction where I predicted full-year profitability for Tesla in 2019 and profitability for 3 of 4 quarters. Well, I'm down the second part of that for sure, as only one quarter has been profitable thus far, and not looking good on the other half of that either, since that first quarter was about as tragic as the Titanic hitting an iceberg. I don't think Q4 netted Tesla a billion in profit, so I think it's safe to say I whiffed on both of these here. But in the end, for the total, I get 3 1/4 points out of 6 possible on my predictions, and I only have one complete miss, so I'm pretty proud of that effort. But wait again, we had a bonus prediction, courtesy of a listener, Brendan Cooney, who is at Cooney0 on Twitter. He said that after the refreshed S and X debuted with a 400-ish mile range, that the 3 and Y would see a 25 plus mile range increase via software update. Well, while we did get a range bump on the S up to 370 miles, we only got a small bump on the 3 and only up 15 miles, and only on the rear-wheel drive version. Giving a quarter credit to you, Brendan. Not a complete whiff, but not really close to the target either. Thanks for the effort. If you all want to join in the bold predictions this year, hit me up on Twitter with your predictions by tweeting at Tesla Tidbits and use the hashtag boldprediction. I'll save them up and bring them around next year. That is it for 2019. Of course, 2019 handed me one last lemon, as this show was late due to technical difficulties with my storage that holds the show recordings. I got everything back in order, and so you'll get a double release. That notwithstanding, I hope you all had a fantastic holiday season, and as always, I thank each and every one of you for listening. The show will hit its 4th anniversary in May, and I must say it's bigger than I ever thought it would be. Back then, I figured I'd be lucky to have a few hundred people listening, but the show recently hit its 6,000th Twitter follower, and multiple thousands are subscribing to the audio. Thank you all. Your support keeps me going more than you know. And that does it for today's show. Thanks to all my patrons supporting the show at patreon.com/Tesla Tidbits. And as always, a special shout out to all the super patrons supporting the show at the $10 plus level. There are Ryan Scarborough, Lee Sweet, William Henry Crew III, Dorian Steve Guberman, Ralph and Cheryl Waterhouse, Megawatt Photovoltaic Development, Todd Sullivan, Mitch Long, Zortec LED Canada, Morvan Og, Raven and Deborah Malkowitz, T Sportline, Travis and Cheyenne Rush, Chris Hovis, Craig Murphy, Vicky Kirk, Ricky Johnston, Nathan Garza, Paul Gona, Ed Patterman, and Sunil Joseph. If you have feedback for me, the best way to be heard is to tweet at Tesla Tidbits and use the hashtag AskTeslaTidbits if you'd like your question to be considered for the show. Until next time, keep it charged and hit the road.